Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something pretty unique, vibroacoustic frequency therapy, VAT for short. Imagine like a potential shortcut to feeling your best, all through sound and vibration, getting your body kind of back in tune.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about VAT, I think, is that it looks at the bigger picture.
Right.
It's not just about dealing with the immediate symptom, It's more about gently nudging the body's own energetic systems back into harmony.
Using specific frequencies.
Exactly, using resonant frequencies to encourage that harmony.
Okay. And our guide for this deep dive, it's this lecture by someone called Quirky Corky, described as an experimental artist and wellness advocate.
Yeah, Quirky Corky. It's a fascinating source.
So our mission here is to unpack VAT. Like, how can sound waves and vibrations actually influence our body's energy, and how could that, support healing?
In Corky's lecture, it offers this really interesting mix of viewpoints. It pulls from basic physics.
Okay, the fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals, but then it layers in things like ancient symbolism for context, uses neuroscience to explain what might be going on.
In the brain and body?
Right. And even touches on clinical studies, which hint at, how it might work in the real world. It's quite multifaceted.
So for you listening, whether you're curious about new ways to feel better or you're just intrigued by the body's natural rhythms.
Or maybe you just like those aha moments.
Exactly. This deep dive should give you some, hopefully, surprising insights into the power of frequency. Okay, let's really get into this. What exactly is vibroacoustic therapy?
Okay, so at its core, VAT is non-invasive. It uses low-frequency sound waves and vibrations.
Low frequency. So we're talking stuff you feel more than hear.
Pretty much, yeah. Think gentle rhythmic pulses. The main goal is really to stimulate the body at a deep tissue level.
Deep tissue stimulation. Okay, I can sort of picture that physically. But the lecture also mentions cellular reorganization and resetting the nervous system. How does vibration do that?
Well, that's where the idea of sympathetic vibration comes in. These low frequencies, they can travel quite deep, right? And the idea is they can encourage ourselves to sort of vibrate at their optimal, healthy frequencies. This gentle nudge can help release tension held deep down, improve blood flow, maybe even influence how cells function.
And the nervous system part.
That ties into our stress response, how it can calm things down.
Right, because VAT is trying to bring our natural rhythms back into sync, like fine-tuning an instrument.
Exactly like that. And the ultimate aim is homeostasis. That state of perfect internal balance.
It's like the body remembering how to feel safe and calm again. Remembering wholeness.
Precisely. And this isn't just guesswork. It's grounded in the science of sound, frequency, and vibration, which the lecture really emphasizes.
Oh, okay, so let's dig into that foundation. Corky says all matter is in constant motion. That's just basic physics, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go down to the quantum level, everything is essentially energy vibrating, moving. So sound frequencies, being vibrations themselves, can interact with this natural motion inside us. The lecture suggests they can gently influence this activity, kind of steer it back towards balance and well-being.
Like influencing the underlying hum of everything.
That's a good way to put it. Influencing the hum towards healthier rhythms. VAT works by providing the right kind of vibrational input.
It sounds like a really subtle kind of energetic nudge.
Yeah.
And the concept of resonance. That's key here too, right? The body tuning itself.
Exactly. Resonance is crucial. You know the tuning fork example?
Yeah, strike one and the other one starts vibrating.
Right. If it's tuned to the same frequency, it vibrates in sympathy. The idea is similar with our bodies. When exposed to specific beneficial frequencies, our cells, our systems can start to resonate with them.
So it encourages a return to a balanced state.
Yes. It's not forcing a change, more like creating the right environment for your body to remember its optimal state, like tuning that slightly off instrument back to perfect pitch.
Got it. The lecture mentions some big names here, like Nikola Tesla and Fritjof Capra. How do they fit into understanding vibration?
Well, Tesla famously talked about energy, frequency, and vibration being fundamental keys to the universe.
Right, his work with electromagnetism.
Exactly. He laid a lot of groundwork. And Capra, who's a more recent physicist, explored the interconnectedness of everything, how vibration is fundamental at that larger scale. It provides a broader scientific context for thinking about something like VAT.
Okay, so vibration is fundamental. Now, the lecture makes a big jump to the vagus nerve. What is that for anyone who doesn't know, and why is it so central to VAT?
The vagus nerve is, it's like this massive communication highway. It connects your brain to most of your major organs.
Heart, lungs, gut, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it plays a huge role in regulating all sorts of automatic functions, especially our stress response.
And that's where the rest and digest mode comes in, the parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the one. VAT, through that vibrational stimulation, seems to help activate this parasympathetic system.
So it shifts you out of fight or flight.
Yeah, it encourages that shift into a state of calm relaxation. Activating it, sometimes called improving vagal tone, has loads of positive effects.
Like that feeling when you finally take a deep breath after being stressed and your shoulders just drop.
Exactly. It sounds like VAT tries to help facilitate that kind of deep relaxation, but maybe on a more profound level.
And the benefits mentioned. Regulating stress, anxiety, improving digestion, even impacting trauma responses. That seems huge.
It really could be. Because the vagus nerve is so closely tied to our emotional state. Stimulating it gently with something like VAT might be a really powerful tool for emotional well-being, helping the nervous system recover, maybe even process stored tension.
So VAT is actively encouraging deep relaxation. Now, the lecture distinguished between entrainment and resonance. They sound kind of similar.
They do, but they're actually quite different concepts, and it's an important distinction. Entrainment is when one system starts to sync up with the rhythm of a stronger external rhythm. Think about, like, clapping along to music at a concert.
Everyone starts clapping in time.
Right, you're entraining to the dominant beat. Now, sometimes that's fine, but if you're constantly exposed to frequencies that don't really match your own natural rhythms...
Like maybe harsh, jarring noises all day.
Exactly, that could be disruptive, like negative entrainment. It's pulling you off your own optimal frequency.
Okay, so being forced to follow a rhythm that isn't really yours, how is resonance different then?
Resonance, like we talked about with the tuning forks, is about encouraging a system to return to its own natural, healthy frequency.
No, okay.
It's not about forcing sync up. It's providing the right vibrational invitation, you could say, for the body to self-correct and find its own balance again, finding your own best rhythm.
And that difference really highlights why personalized therapy could be important here, not just one-size-fits-all frequency.
Precisely. Understanding an individual's needs is key if you're aiming for healing through resonance, not just entrainment.
Okay. Then the lecture shifts to something super relevant today. EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies from, well, everything. Phones, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we're swimming in them, aren't we?
We really are. What's the concern raised in the lecture?
The concern is that these artificial frequencies we're constantly exposed to might interfere with our own natural biological processes, the body's own subtle electrical communication.
And that could lead to issues like sleep problems, maybe fatigue, brain fog.
That's the potential link being explored. While the long-term effects are still debated and researched, there's this growing awareness that constant exposure might be disruptive on some level.
So in this kind of electrically saturated world, how does VAT fit in? How could sound help?
The lecture suggests VAT and other sound interventions could act as a sort of counterbalance.
How so?
By introducing harmonious grounding frequencies, the idea is you can help restore clarity, balance, maybe strengthen your connection to your own natural vibrations, sort of mitigating the disruptive effects of the artificial EMFs.
Like tuning out the static with a clearer signal.
That's a good analogy, yeah. Creating a more harmonious internal environment despite the external noise.
Interesting. Okay, now this is where Quirky Corky gets, well, quirky. Introducing Quirky's Quark, a blend of science and spirit, sacred geometry, symbolic medicine. What's that about?
Right, this is where the lecture broadens out quite a bit, exploring more symbolic, maybe less mainstream aspects.
Okay.
It looks at ancient symbols, things like the Triskelion, the Unalum, Akaba, Chokure.
I've seen some of those.
Yeah, they're viewed here as representing fundamental energetic patterns related to transformation, spiritual growth, the way energy flows.
So the lecture is suggesting VAT isn't just physical. It might connect to consciousness or spiritual development too.
That seems to be the implication within this Quirky's Quark framework, yes. That working with these fundamental vibrational patterns, which VAT does, might support a broader process of, like, personal evolution. Sacred geometry provides a kind of map for these underlying structures.
Wow, okay. That definitely broadens the scope. So with all that in mind, who might actually benefit from VAT? The lecture lists quite a range of conditions.
It does list a broad range, which kind of suggests VAT might be working on some fundamental regulatory systems in the body. Things mentioned include chronic pain, anxiety, Parkinson's, fibromyalgia, ADHD, even helping with recovery after surgery.
And it mentioned evidence. Clinical studies, personal stories.
Yes, it alluded to clinical studies and definitely included case examples and testimonials as supporting evidence for these applications.
What kind of benefits are people reporting?
It's quite varied. Physical, mental, emotional stuff, like improved sleep, less inflammation, better mobility, and also reports of emotional catharsis, like a release of pent-up feelings. It sounds like it can tap into some deep stuff.
Okay, let's talk tools. What actual devices are used for this? The lecture mentioned quite a few.
Yeah, there's a whole toolkit emerging. Things like VTS 2000 vibroacoustic pads. Those deliver vibrations directly to specific body areas.
Right.
Then there are in-harmony systems, which are another type of vibrational therapy setup. Rife technology, which uses specific frequencies aimed at harmful microbes. Red light therapy that uses light wavelengths. Iteracare terahertz devices emitting frequencies said to resonate with healthy cells. Brain tap, which uses light and sound for brainwaves.
Wow, lots of different approaches.
Definitely. Also, AIR's tech frequency modulators designed to harmonize EMF interactions. And then the sonosphere described as a haptic cymatic sound immersion dome.
A sound dome. Sounds intense.
Yeah, like a full-body sound and vibration experience. It's quite an array.
And these are used professionally, but also becoming available for home use.
That's right. That increasing accessibility seems to be a big part of the growing interest in these kinds of frequency-based wellness tools.
Okay, now, to make it real, the lecture shared personal stories, real results. What stood out to you from those testimonials?
Some of the descriptions were really striking. People talking about achieving states of timeless stillness or deep meditation.
Wow.
It suggests VAT can potentially facilitate some pretty profound shifts in awareness beyond just physical relaxation. And the reports of emotional release, pain dissolving, that mind-body connection really comes through.
Yeah, a couple of quotes stuck with me too. Someone calling VAT a shortcut back to my parasympathetic state. That really nails the nervous system aspect we discussed.
That's a great summary of it.
And there was an account of someone with persistent back pain, right, who found relief and better movement after a full-body vibrational session. That's a very tangible result.
Absolutely. Those kinds of stories, they suggest VAT might have the potential to go deeper than just surface symptoms, maybe addressing underlying imbalances.
Finally, the lecture mentioned a nonprofit, Vibrational Pathways. What's their mission?
Their focus seems to be on making these sound healing therapies more accessible.
How?
Through things like community education, offering professional certifications, and providing access to experiences like that sonosphere dome we mentioned.
So bringing it to more people.
Exactly. The lecture highlighted their commitment to inclusion, affordability, and innovation in the field, trying to empower people on the wellness journey using sound and vibration.
That sounds like a great initiative. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listener with some final thoughts. Those quotes from the lecture are pretty powerful.
Yeah, they really were. Panache Desai's quote, "How you vibrate is what the universe echoes back to you in every moment." Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. And Nikola Tesla, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. A classic.
And there was also that one from Code Bamboo, "Watch your thoughts, for they become your destiny."
Right, connecting our internal state, our internal vibration perhaps, to what shows up in our lives.
Exactly. These quotes really tie it all together, the interconnectedness of vibration at every level. So this deep dive, we've looked at vibroacoustic frequency therapy.
Its science, its potential uses for healing, well-being.
And this growing movement trying to make these therapies more available.
So for you listening, maybe just take a moment today to consider the role of vibration in your own life. It's definitely a fascinating area, lots more to explore, I think.
For sure.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.